2024 was a big year for my wife and I. We got married on our 10-year anniversary, had the best week of our lives on our wedding and honeymoon, and most importantly, we found out we were having a baby. We had to do a lot to get ready for our new little one, but the part I was looking forward to the most was painting her nursery. We had just bought a house and the place needed a lot of work, but I had a vision for what I wanted my daughter's safe place to be. And you guessed it, it was full of Pokemon. A lot of family members looked at me funny when I told them I wanted to make her nursery Pokemon themed. They'd say things like, "Isn't that for boys?" Fools! Do they not know Pokemon is for anyone? Boys or girls, kids or adults? You don't become the biggest IP in the world by only having one target demographic of boys ages 6 to 12. Besides, it's not like I was going to paint the room full of Garchomp, Gyarados, and Gengar, as awesome as that might have been. The first thing I wanted to try was a thing that I wasn't even sure would work. I needed to buy a ceiling fan for her room, and I was thinking, can I make an animation out of this? So I painted a Pidgey on each blade of the fan, each with their wings in a slightly different flapping position. The idea was if the blade was spinning, it should look like Pidgey was flapping. The idea seemed good at the time, but it didn't work out quite as well as what I wanted. It shows up better on camera than it does in person, and even then it's not exactly a smooth animation, but oh well, it's still a cute ceiling fan, I guess. Jasmine's brother Sean helped me paint the walls a sky blue, which, again, when people saw that I was painting a girl's room blue, it raised a surprising amount of eyebrows. I didn't realize how boxed in people's ideas of gender stereotypes were, but I wanted the room to feel like a field of cute and friendly Pokemon, so after the sky blue was painted on, I went around the bottom baseboards and painted a grassy pattern, being super careful not to get any paint on the carpet before moving on to paint clouds in the sky. Sean had painted our ceiling white, so the idea I had was to make the ceiling in her room looked like one giant cloud. So I painted a soft, fluffy cloud-like pattern around the top edges of her walls before adding a few smaller stray clouds here and there. If I'm being honest, this design alone probably would have made a cute nursery. And I had actually debated on keeping it that way. What if I messed up drawing the Pokemon on the walls? The paint for the walls wasn't exactly cheap, and we aren't exactly rich, and a mistake big enough could ruin the whole thing. Plus, what if she didn't even like Pokemon? But after about a month of almost wimping out, I decided I wasn't done yet. Nervous as I was, I began to draw Pokemon on the walls. I started off with pencil. These lines were drawn lightly, and they would be easy enough to erase if I did make mistakes, which I definitely did. The first thing I drew were Butterfree, 2 purple and 1 pink. Like from the episode Bye Bye Butterfree, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this was a shiny Butterfree. I honestly thought so too for a while, but the shiny actually looks like this. And I just thought the pink Butterfree would look so much cuter on the wall. After I drew the pencil lines, I used a combination of Posca paint markers and acrylic paint with brushes to fill in all the colors. My instinct was to do the outlines first, but with painting you actually want to wait to do those last so they are nice and bold and you don't have to worry about messing them up with the colors that are inside the outlines. And let me tell you, that really did bring it all together. After the Butterfree, I did a Caterpie crawling up the side of her door. I guess you could say it symbolizes growth or something, but I also just kind of thought it looked cute. After I started on the Pokemon, however, it was hard to stop. Over the next couple months, I painted Drifloon, maybe not the safest Pokemon to have around small children, but what kid doesn't like balloons? Psyduck, one of the cutest derpy boys there is. Joey, our nephew that lives with us, thought a Diglett would be a good idea, and it definitely was. Sometimes we need to get creative. And circles are hard. That works. A Jigglypuff floating around. My mom's favorite Pokemon, Meowth. Hi. So, your favorite Pokemon is Meowth, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the cat, because we knew it when you were little.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you said it was Meowth and not something else, because that is there for you.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that's right next to her crib over there, so, you know, yeah. And one I had a really cute idea for, Smeargle. So, Smeargle is the painter Pokemon, right? His tail is a paintbrush. I thought it would be cute to have him painting on a canvas on her wall. But why stop there?
Yeah, but it looks really bad.
So I got the Smeargle done, which is like basically the piece de resistance of this room. Because though he is painting this like, little rudimentary Roselia right here, that's basically just going to be an Easter egg for the room because I'm just going to start over. Because even though he's painting this little rudimentary Roselia, I have a cramp in my foot. I'm just going to keep going. Even though he's painting this little rudimentary
Oh!
All right. Now that the beautiful camera lady has managed to not urinate on herself and the cramp in my foot has gone away, what I was saying was this is basically going to be an Easter egg in this room because I'm actually going to put this whiteboard right here. So she can come over here and draw on the whiteboard. So let me get that ready real quick. There. Yeah. There. I'll line it up. Oh, shoot. Okay. Line it up as good as I can. And that is what we here at the Short household call good enough. Of course, how could I not paint a Roselia in a girl named Roselia's room? She is perched adorably on top of her closet there. And as a last-minute addition, I quickly added a Joltik crawling up the window. Though Jasmine was a little confused as to why I added a spider, she thought it would be gross. I corrected her that Joltik is actually a tick Pokemon, which in retrospect isn't any less gross, but I mean, Joltik is pretty cute, so we're just gonna go with it. The Pokemon were finished. However, we were not. Jasmine borrowed my Posca markers and painted this little dresser for her with her name on it. We teamed up and painted the doors to her room. Jasmine also had this great idea to get these little shelves that were shaped like clouds that we could put on the walls to add to the theme, while also having another way to store things like decorations and books. After spending months painting, decorating, and putting furniture together, the nursery was finally complete. I hope Roselia likes it, and if she doesn't, we can always paint it over with something she does like. But I'm very proud of it personally. It's my biggest work of art yet, but not the greatest. The greatest is this little girl that I did all this for. And let me tell you, I cannot wait to meet her.